In this video, we're going to learn about how to compose a URL. So once you've uploaded your files, remember that all your files need to be uploaded inside this public HTML folder. And I've uploaded several files and several folders with files in them. So once I've done that, then I can compose a URL to open them up. So since we know everything has to be inside public HTML, let's start with that part of the URL. So let me get to something here. Get a brand new tab and I'll type in, the beginning of this needs to be the host name, and that is icarus.cs.weber.edu/ and then your username, and yours will be different than mine. Before you put your username, you have to put the tilde sign, and then the username, and mine is demostudent65432/, and that's what I need to get me into the public HTML part of my web page. And I always have to be there because anything outside of there won't show. Now once I get that much, we're not complete. If I simply push enter here, I get this forbidden. I haven't given it enough information, even though my account is working and everything's fine and I've got stuff in there. I haven't given it enough information. I have just barely gotten here. I haven't said which web page to open up. So let's go ahead and open up resizing.html. So right after my username, put a slash and then put resizing.html. Enter. And there is a complete URL for that file that is in the public HTML folder. Now I'm going to copy that URL because I often need to submit those. So if I copy the whole thing and then I paste it, I want to show you what you get. Notice that you get the whole Icarus, your host name, icarus.cs.weber.edu, the username, right, tilde followed by the username, and then the name of the HTML file. Also notice that you get http://. This is not visible in the URL, in the top bar of the browser. But when you copy and paste it, it is actually part of it. The browser just doesn't show it to you because it thinks you're not likely interested. But it's there and you really need that for much of your web work. You need to have that initial part. Now I want you to see how different this looks from the local version of the URL. So when I look at this file locally, it starts with file://, then it goes through this very long path to get to where that file is, and then finally that same resizing.html. So really the only place these two URLs are common is in that very end, resizing.html. You want to be careful when you're submitting URLs to make sure that you don't submit that local file. That local file won't help anybody. It only works on your machine, so make sure that you get the one that starts with icarus.cs.weber.edu. Now so far we've just composed a URL to a file that's right inside public HTML. But what if we want to get it into one of these other folders? The way that we do that is we still need to use the part of the web page that gets us into public HTML, icarus.cs.weber.edu/tilde and your username. This gets us into public HTML. But now, notice what we need to do. We need to add the folder name. So the next thing in our URL is the folder name. And then a slash to end the folder. And then we go into that folder and we can say, okay, which file do we want? And here again, we can say, this time let's look at sunflower.html. And it opens up that page. So now the only difference is we have to identify the folder name as part of the path. Everything else is the same. One more thing I want to go and look at is in the public HTML folder, I have another folder called default, and inside there is a file called index.html. Now index.html is a default file name, which means if I don't include it, the server will look for a default one to send. So the way that I can access this, let's go through it again. So I'm going to do the Icarus to get me to the public HTML, icarus.cs.weber.edu/tilde followed by the username. That gets me into public HTML. And then once I'm in there, then I need to go inside the default folder. So I will type /default, and that gets me in the folder /. And then once I'm in that folder, there's index.html right there, but I don't have to type it. So I can go ahead and just get inside the folder and click enter, and the browser will automatically look for, or the server actually is the one that will automatically look for a default file. And now if I take this URL and keep it up here, notice that it is the same except it has no file name, and that makes a smaller URL, and that's how you can get to that default file name. Let's compare with the sunflower one so that we have all three of these up here and see the URLs together. So notice how these two are the same except this one has a folder in it. This last one also is inside a folder but has no file name, and the default one is the one that will be displayed. So that's how you compose a URL for your published web pages on the Icarus web server.